Welcome to WorkSource Pierce Employer Spotlight, a series of video interviews with local Pierce County employers. Developed in partnership with the Department of Vocational Rehabilitation, ResCare Workforce Services, and the Employment Security Department. And here's today's Employer Spotlight.
Hey, good morning. Samuel Bradshaw with DSHS, Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, with you again. With another Employer Spotlight video. Today we have with us Peter Asai from Pierce County. Very excited to chat with him. We'll be asking Peter a series of questions about the current offerings they have with Pierce County for careers. He will have answers for those questions for us, and we'll be very excited to just learn more about what they're up to right now. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and hand the floor over to Peter. Peter, hello, and welcome. And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and Pierce County?
Hello, yeah, I'm very excited to be here. I enthusiastically represent Pierce County. Pierce County government is by far the most progressive when it comes to, programs and willingness to move forward in uncharted waters. And that's what really attracted me to come to work for Pierce County. Not to mention it, Pierce County does have a affinity of basically directly affecting the communities that I serve in, and the impacts are immediate and very noticeable. We're a medium-sized government agency. We're about 3,000 employees. We operate pretty much like a medium-sized company. We offer all the job categories that a medium-sized company would offer. When it comes to engineering positions, road maintenance positions, the whole clerical administrative positions, everything you could think of. We have a robust IT department, a wonderful communications department, and of course, an awesome HR department.
Fantastic. That's great to hear. Can you tell us a little bit about the positions Pierce County has available right now?
Absolutely. The key positions that are very essential, especially under the current circumstances, are public safety positions. We have positions in emergency management to basically mitigate our current COVID situation. Along with that, the things that we always need and need more than ever due to current circumstances are what are called civil service positions. That includes deputy sheriffs and corrections deputy positions. These two are very highly progressive positions. When it comes to the sheriff's deputies, we're looking for people that are very empathetic, not looking to just purely enforce the law, but be proactive and basically think of mitigating circumstances that could prevent crime from happening. When it comes to corrections positions, basically, we're looking for very empathetic people. We're not out to punish people. We're out to rehabilitate them, to basically improve their lives, elevate their lives in general. Those are the positions that we're mainly looking for right now.
Perfect. So that's fantastic. You're hiring for all those different positions. Can you tell us a little bit about your normal hiring and recruiting process? Where and how folks apply, what documents might be needed, what the process is after application, kind of the whole full circle around that.
Absolutely. We, like a lot of government agencies, hire through governmentjobs.com. It's incredibly easy to find our jobs. The easiest way is simply to do a search under jobs at Pierce County. They'll take you to our recruiting splash page. It is kind of an arduous process. We use NeoGov for our applicant to receive applications. You're looking at committing about an hour and a half and filling out an application. But once you fill out an application, that information saves, so you only need to tweak the information for other subsequent jobs that you apply for in the future. So it's a worthwhile investment to spend that hour and a half. Once you apply for the job, basically, the process could last anywhere as quick as 2 weeks. We're very nimble, we're trying to be more nimble with all our positions. But certain positions require a lot of different tasks to complete the road towards the actual hire, and those could last up to 8 to 12 weeks.
Sure, that makes a ton of sense. So when a new candidate is applying and they're submitting their cover letter and their applications and their resume to you, what really stands out to your team there at Pierce County? What really are the qualities and traits that you're looking for?
Absolutely. The quality and traits that we're looking for all employees here at Pierce County is really your commitment to serve, basically making the communities that you serve better. That is one thing we're always looking for. If you have that instilled in you, we know you're going to be very committed to the mission. You're going to be very committed to improving the community that you probably live in. But the other things is we make it painfully obvious what we're looking for in our job announcements. We are very clear. We explain what's great about the opportunity, what's great about the department that you'll be applying for, the business unit that you're applying for, and how to be successful in the position, meaning, what sort of qualifications make sense for that position, what sort of attitude makes sense, what that business unit's culture is, and your future in the position, what sort of career growth is in the position. Once you look at that, along with the minimum qualifications, you'll really want to take that to heart in how you fill out your application, how you write up your resume, how you write up your cover letter. We hand it to you. It's kind of like taking a test, and we give you the answer sheet right in front of you. So if you hit those quadrants, chances are we're going to be interested in talking to you, looking into this discussion even further.
Fantastic. That's great to hear. It sounds like the job announcements are definitely a place to look and to kind of, read those very thoroughly, right?
Yes.
So as a member of the DSHS Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, something that's really near and dear to my heart is working with differently abled individuals, right? Can you tell me a little bit about your and your team's experience hiring people with disabilities and how people who are differently abled fit into the Pierce County picture?
Absolutely. I like to think that Pierce County is very, very conscious of vulnerable populations in general, including those with disabilities. In fact, we have specialized positions in emergency management as well as human services that focus on vulnerable populations, specifically folks with disabilities. And I think we, as a county and as being a progressive government entity, we have the capacity, and we are taking measures to actually find basically taking that extra step to find positions for those who have these type of challenges. And of course, in any circumstance, as long as they can do the essential functions without unusually heavy assistance, we embrace the disabled populations to come work for us. And it's been my personal experience that those with disabilities tend to be better employees, because I think they understand that they are faced with challenges, and because of that, they try that much harder. And I always encourage any hiring manager within Pierce County to strongly consider a disabled candidate, as they do have that edge when it comes to wanting to meet a challenge.
That's incredibly breathtaking to hear. I mean, really refreshing news, right? And I think it's going to be something that really demystifies the application process for some folks. Some folks have a lot of nerves going into these. So I think just that little bit of information there will be very, very helpful. So thank you very much for that. Another real question I have is that, just as well as I do, we have JBLM and all its families here, right? So tremendous military veteran population, military spouse population, military family population. Does Pierce County have a lot of experience hiring and placing veterans within our communities?
Absolutely, absolutely. Of course, we always attend the very large transition event that JBLM has on an annual basis. We reach out consistently, including the weekly lunches. We send a recruitment staff out to meet folks during those events as well. But in general, Pierce County, because JBLM is within our vicinity, we tend to have a lot of veterans and spouses of veterans as employees. And I'll tell you what, they tend to be some of the best employees. The reason why is that people transitioning out of the military tend to meld into working at a government agency a little bit easier. You know, just like the military, the government agencies have additional guidelines and regulations that they need to follow, just like the military, that you won't find in the private sector. So they tend to kind of adapt to that a lot easier than someone that, let's say, comes straight out of the private industry. Although people from the private industry do excel. I came from the private industry, and I adapted to the government remarkably well. But military people tend to do extraordinarily well, especially for those positions that require punctuality and attendance. That hands down, they tend to be the best employees. We do a lot of outreach to veterans groups, Work of Honor, and such, Hire Heroes, and we'll continue that effort. As you know, we like the idea of people at JVLM, if they decide to transition out, that they give Pierce County a shot. They decide to settle down here rather than going back to wherever they came from, because that enriches our community, having people from different parts of the country, different parts of different parts of society in general. These different diverse opinions and ideas that come from reaching out to people from throughout the country, throughout the social spectrum, it just improves Pierce County as a county, makes it more vibrant, better, stronger, and more pleasant, really.
That's, again, I think a lot of people are going to be really excited to hear that. It's one thing to believe it, but it's one thing to hear it straight from the source, right?
Yes.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about the future for Pierce County? I know a lot of things are changing right now. What do you anticipate in regards to changes, and how is COVID-19 impacting that right now, if at all?
Sure. Let's start off with the current situation with COVID. It did impact a lot of things, and one of the most important things for the county is public health, public safety. So we are taking strict measures with social distancing, offering PPE for essential workers that do have to work on site, which includes our election workers. We're going to be very conscious about that, as they are providing a great service in forwarding the democratic process. We're very conscious of that. As for the recruiting and interview process, we fully implemented virtual interviews like this platform, specifically Zoom, just like you folks, and basically only doing in-person interviews if absolutely necessary. Basically handling all training and such through a virtual platform, and basically everything to maintain and ensure public safety. What's the future of Pierce County? Pierce County is a growing county. It's a burgeoning county. Of course, it's stunted a little bit because of current circumstances, but we're anticipating it to continue to grow, as it's becoming a huge bedroom community for Seattle. And on top of that, our industry is starting to really, really grow throughout as well. And as a result of that, we're planning on staff increasing as time goes on. Currently, because of current circumstances, the overall hiring has slowed down quite a bit, although we are hiring for very key positions, very enthusiastically still. But we imagine an increase in the Pierce County workforce in the future, and basically an increase in the workforce in Pierce County in all industry in general. And we are preparing for it, responding to it. So I imagine if you do pursue a career at Pierce County, because we are growing along with the county, you should expect great new things when it comes to career growth, new opportunities, new job categories. Oh my God, the world is changing so much. I'm sure new jobs are going to appear in the horizon, especially for things like IT security. So if you're an IT security professional, I definitely want to hear from you. But yes, the future is bright and fascinating for Pierce County. We're very, as I mentioned several times, I can't say it enough, we're very progressive. We're ready for the challenge, and we'll have strong measures in place.
Love it. Absolutely fantastic. So before people go to the web and they start to search for Pierce County jobs, are there any requirements for employment that these candidates need to be aware of? For example, specific licensure, training and education requirements, background checks, driving abstracts, anything they need to bring to the table in advance?
Absolutely. You know, for certain positions that require driving county vehicles, we will need a driver's abstract, especially if it's an everyday activity, like a lot of our public works jobs, which deals with the infrastructure like roads, bridges, airports, things like that. The other things are, you know, we have electricians positions, so having an L&I electrician's license is highly desired. In fact, if you have one of those, people are going to be fighting over you. So if you're thinking about an electrician career, definitely pursue it. Other things, basically, a lot of our positions are set to be very, very entry level, including our PPW positions, our public works positions. With that, you basically need a driver's license and a willingness to learn. And the same goes for our public safety positions, you know, like our law enforcement, our sheriff's deputy and corrections deputy positions. We're going to train you on everything. Of course, you need to pass a physical agility test, along with a very, very comprehensive background check and a series of interviews, including a psychological analysis. But the requirements are very little, and the rewards are huge, especially there, because you're looking at some of the most stable and most dynamic when it comes to promote, you know, career growth is within our law enforcement. So it really does depend on the position, on what's required. We have a lot of substitution language, so if you don't have the education, experience could override it. And if you don't have the experience, education could override a lot of positions. But yeah, and we are constantly analyzing our positions and tweaking them so that the qualifications make a lot more sense and are a lot more inclusive to basically attract a larger audience. And I'm talking about that diversity that I spoke about before. It's so important to us. So we are very conscious of that when we're setting up requirements for our jobs.
Fantastic. Is there anything else you would like, you know, potential applicants to know before they rush off to the web to look at these jobs?
You know, I just think it's very important that you look deep inside you. You look at your community and you think to yourself, I really want to make this world better. And have that attitude when you're filling out your application, when you're writing that cover letter, when you're writing up your resume. And think about that if we decide to invite you to come into an interview. Because if you have that type of attitude, chances are you are going to do extremely well at Pierce County. Because I'm going to repeat it again, we're very progressive. So we're looking for progressive-minded folks. And you know, there's nothing more progressive than wanting to help the people that live in your community and seeing your friends and family receive the best services possible because they deserve it.
Absolutely wonderful to hear. As a Pierce County resident, thank you for all the work you do. We appreciate it, you know, tremendously. Thank you for joining me today. We realize some viewers may have questions that I wasn't able to get to today. If you have a question, go ahead and drop it in the comments, drop box below. I will try to get it to Peter. If I know the answer to it, I will get it straight to you. You know, Peter, could you just tell us one more time where on the web to search for those jobs with you?
Absolutely. You know, the easiest way to search for our jobs is simply in a search engine, type in jobs at Pierce County. We're going to be the first one that pops up. Click on it, and it's going to send you to our employment splash page, and it's very self-explanatory. If you had any questions, there's a contact us function. contact us anytime. We'd love to talk to you.
Fantastic. Again, Peter, thank you for your time. We appreciate you greatly. Everybody watching, if you enjoyed the content today, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe buttons so you can get notifications when we do more videos. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you for watching. Please feel free to contact the employer at the address shown. Tell them WorkSource sent you.